Hello and welcome back to Shook in Time. Today I want to talk about my perfect Seiko dive watch, the Captain Willard Naomi Uemura with the textured grey dial. This watch isn't just another Seiko diver. It's a heavy-hitting premium evolution of one of the most famous watches in cinematic and exploration history. We know the Captain Willard references the iconic movie Apocalypse Now, but this version honors the Japanese explorer Naomi Uemura and takes that turtle shape and pushes this watch into the luxury tier. There is nothing entry level about this watch, and as we go deeper into the review, you will see why Seiko tried to charge almost £3,000 for this one. But the good news is that just like every other Seiko, you don't have to pay anything like that to own this masterpiece. So let's crack on and see if I can convince you why every Seiko lover needs to consider this watch as their holy grail in the Prospex lineup. Having waited almost 2 years to buy this watch for various reasons, mostly stupid ones, the expectation was high, and if I'm being honest, buying this watch blind without actually seeing it in the flesh was a big risk. So how did I feel when I opened that box? It's initial thoughts time, and let's see if I was right. So guess what box I received this top-of-the-line Prospex watch in? Yes, you guessed it, it's that standard Seiko white box. I mean, come on man, what the effing hell is Seiko doing? But then you see the dial, and the initial disappointment totally vanishes. It is stunningly executed, and adds that luxury normally reserved for its more privileged Grand Seiko brothers. The watch feels heavy, solid. It's a bloody tank for your wrist, but comes with the bling and finish you'd expect from a Bentley. And then there's the bracelet. My Seiko love-hate relationship always comes back to this one thing, and I can report that this one is superbly executed. But as we'll see later on, it's not perfect. Moving on to specifications, this is where you start to understand why Seiko feel bold enough to charge a cheeky £2,820 at the recommended retail price in the UK. Frankly, you're insane to buy this watch at that price, because the discounts on these can be massive, and if you're patient and smart, you can really bag a great deal like I did. In terms of dimensions, the diameter is 44mm with a lug-to-lug of 49.3mm, and a thickness of 13mm. The short lug-to-lug in relation to this case size is what makes this watch wearable for wrists 6.5 inches and above. With the bracelet size for my 7.5 inch wrist, the weight comes in at 175 grams. But it never feels top heavy thanks to the cushion case distributing that load across your wrist. The Willard has sapphire glass with AR coating and a water resistance of 200 meters. So nothing special here at this price point really, but it's the movement where things start to get interesting. The Seiko Caliber 8L35 is a high-end in-house automatic movement primarily used by Seiko in its professional grade SLA and SBD series of dive watches, and it's often described as the workhorse for premium divers, with its hand assembly taking place in the same facility where Grand Seiko mechanical movements are crafted. The 8L35 is architecturally based on the Grand Seiko Caliber 9S55, and it's often referred to as an undecorated and unadjusted version of its luxury cousin. Whilst it shares the same base engineering, the 8L35 is not regulated to the same high standards as Grand Seiko, allowing it to be used in more competitively priced professional dive watches in the Prospex range. And when you compare the 8L35 to the 6R35 movements found in other Prospex divers, you get a higher beat rate, better quoted accuracy, and of course borrowed engineering to bridge the gap between Seiko and Grand Seiko. Now it's time to take a closer look at the dial case and bracelet. The dial on this watch is a masterclass in depth and texture that makes luxury brands look lazy. And the tone of the grey used is just perfect in my eyes as it changes from light to dark depending on the angle of your wrist. And it's meant to evoke the rocky terrain of the mountains once explored by Naomi Uemura. Then there are the applied indices. They aren't just stamped, they're faceted and polished to a mirror finish using Zaratsu adjacent techniques, catching every stray phaeton like a diamond. But the real magic? Well, it's the Lume Bright. Seiko doesn't just paint it on, they apply it with such thick, creamy precision that the markers look like 3D ivory pips. And those high torque hands, well, they are massive, brushed and beveled, and glide over the dial with smoothness that only a high beat movement can deliver. The only issue I find with this dial is that it distracts you from actually reading the time, as you get lost just staring at it. And the happiness does not end there, because the level of high-end detail applied to the case, bracelet and bezel also hits hard. The finishing is where the line between tool watch and jewelry completely disappears, because we're talking about Zaratsu polishing, which creates a mirror finish so distortion-free it looks like liquid chrome. The transition from these distortion-free mirrors to the razor-sharp circular brushed lugs is so crisp you'd swear you could cut your finger on the line that divides the two finishes. The 120-click unidirectional bezel is made from stainless steel and finished with a black carbon coating to give it a high gloss effect, and by keeping it thinner than other Seiko divers, it helps to mask the diameter of this watch. The bracelet is of a quality you would expect at this price point, because it feels tight, solid, and is coated with Seiko's DiaShield coating to protect it from desk diving scratches. And the clasp is a beast, being fully milled with a secure lock and push down button release. It also features a diver's extension. All of this combined starts to build a strong case for the price that Seiko wants to charge for this watch. Moving on to the wrist check, I'm going to keep this one simple. No strap changes, just the steel bracelet. This is the only watch in my collection where I've not tried a strap change. And the reason being is that I just love the way this watch looks and feels on the wrist with the steel. The drilled lugs would make this easy to swap onto different straps, but I think it looks perfect the way it is. And now it's time for the Lume Junkie feeding frenzy. Lume Bright is applied to perfection on this watch, and what I'm trying to show with these different shots is how that glow holds up as you move from light to dark. You won't have any trouble reading the time in the middle of the night with this one. Now moving on to final thoughts, I'm going to run this part of the review by answering some simple questions, the sort of questions I've been asking myself as I edit this video. So is this a tool watch? Or is it a piece of jewelry? Well, the answer is yes and no, in the same way a modern Rolex Submariner is also a tool watch and a piece of jewelry. So if you have one of these in your collection, you're likely to own a few more watches and probably a few more Seikos. So my answer to that question would be, you're not going to use this as your daily beta watch. It's probably one that you're going to wear on special occasions and one that you're likely to protect. And does this watch offer value for money? Once again, the answer is not straightforward. If you buy at full retail, I would say no. But if you get this on a massive discount where you can save almost a third of the price, then my answer is clearly yes. Does this watch get the love from enthusiasts that it deserves? I think the answer is a no from me. Most Seiko lovers will have a soft spot for this watch, but Seiko with their pricing structure have almost made this a ghost to non-Seiko buyers. I mean, would you pick this over a Tissot or Longines if you weren't a Seiko nutjob like me? I highly doubt it. And to finish the review, would I recommend this to you? My answer is an emphatic yes, because this is my perfect Seiko dive watch. The Captain Willard is a legend in my eyes, and this is the best of them all. So that's it, folks. I hope you liked my review of the Captain, and if you enjoyed the last few minutes, then hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, keep on ticking.